And the next job is to put the pasta inside it. And the salmon is followed by my courgettes. Hey, there he comes. Ciao! Yesterday was Monday, and on a Monday I do lasagnas at the moment, but we had so much food left over from the weekend I didn't cook. Today is Tuesday and Julie wants a salmon Tuesday, so I decided to combine Monday's lasagna with Tuesday's salmon, so I'll be doing a salmon lasagna. Start by pouring a little olive oil in a frying pan. One of the fillings alongside the salmon is going to be a courgette, which I'm now slicing into little circles. And I've also chopped a small red onion into very little pieces. Of course you can also use a white onion. I choose a red onion because I like them as they're a little bit sweeter. So let the onion sizzle for approximately 1 minute because it's very small anyway, and add the courgettes and season them with a little salt and some pepper. Keep the heat on a medium to high, and after a few minutes you'll see that they will turn into a lovely golden color, and they will also go very soft. And this is when I'm going to be adding a clove of garlic, which I have cut into tiny little pieces. You can also crush it in if you wish. And less than a minute after I added the garlic, I'm gonna get them out and put them in a separate bowl ready for later. And I'm gonna use the same pan in a moment to do my salmon, so I do not have to mess more pots. And here it is, salmon. No need to add any more oil as it's already oiled from before. I will be placing my salmon, the skin facing downwards first. Add a pinch of salt on each piece of salmon and also a little pepper. Bearing in mind that the salmon will be going in the lasagna as a filling, of course, it doesn't have to be cooked to the nth degree, but I do want it to absorb some crispiness and some of the flavors from the oil. In the meantime, I'll get on with my Béchamel sauce. So half a liter of milk, cold milk, and I'm adding a pinch of salt. And while it's cold, I'm going to be adding some plain flour, normal flour. I will be making it approximately 45 to 50 grams if I can. Let's have a look. Yeah, perfect. Also I'm adding a little pepper to this Béchamel sauce because I think it's going to go very well with the salmon. While everything is cold, just mix it all together. Let's move the salmon out of the way so I can have the space back on the hob. I'm going to be pouring my milk on a new saucepan. I'm turning the heat up and I'll place my Béchamel to be on the hob and start mixing all together. Keep on mixing and you will see that something magic is about to happen where milk turns into Béchamel. Actually, I'm not far off. You can see that it's already thickening, and but it is important that you keep mixing, otherwise the milk gets stuck to the bottom. Once you see the first few bubbles appearing, start stirring it for another 20 seconds while it's on the hob. And after 20 seconds, remove it from the hob, but keep stirring for another 20 seconds as the Béchamel is still cooking. While it's hot, I will be adding a few herbs, and I'll start with some thyme first, some fresh thyme, and also a good generous sprinkle of parsley, which goes incredibly well with salmon and fish generally. I want the parsley to be really visible in my Béchamel sauce. Something I've not shared with you yet is that I'm going to be making a different shape lasagna today, and I will be using a donut tin for it. Here, I've actually lined up a donut tin with some baking paper, both on the sides and the bottom, and also the middle part. And hopefully I might be successful. But I will be using hard pasta, so I'm going to be pre-boiling it first so that it makes it easier for me to lay it on in the tin. And I'm going to be adding my lasagna sheets to some hot boiling water, just like you would do if you were cooking pasta. But I will let them cook maybe for 2 or 3 minutes until they're soft enough that I can bend them. They've been in for approximately 1 minute, so literally after 1 minute they are just soft enough and I can get them out. The salmon has cooled down nicely, so I'm now removing the skin, as I will not need the skin in this recipe. My lasagna pasta is also nice and cold and also very flexible if you look, so I can model it. But make sure that when you lay it down, you do not have them on top of one another so that they do not stick together, so you can easily remove them by lifting them. That is of course assuming that you choose to do the same as what I'm doing, but if you have to cook a normal lasagna, you don't need to do all of these. You can just use it as it is. Next, to ensure that my lasagna fits in my tin nicely, I will be cutting a few shapes so that this will go against the inner circle and this will be against the outside. And the little pieces that are coming off, I will be keeping them as a part of my filling, of course. And here they are, all my pieces are ready, including all of the waste pieces which I will be using as a filling inside the lasagna. Moving on to the exciting part next, I will be putting a little olive oil at the bottom of my tin, and although there is baking paper, I have no idea what this is going to be like. And by the way, it just crossed my mind, I might come across as very confident about this. I've never done this before, I have never made lasagna in a donut tin, this is a first. And although I'm confident that the taste will be great, the outcome in terms of a shape might be a total disaster, we will see. So logic tells me that if I put some oil everywhere, it will be easier for it to come out later. I might be totally wrong, of course. And I will start by applying a couple of tablespoons of my Béchamel sauce. I don't know why, but something tells me that it's a good thing to do. If my plan works well, by the time I turn it around, what is currently the bottom will be the top of the lasagna. So I'm trying to replicate what I might have in a normal lasagna. And the next job is to put the pasta inside it, and I'm actually lining it so that the thicker and wider part is against the outside and the smaller part is against the inside. And I'm noticing actually that because the pasta is quite sticky, it's playing to my advantage, because I'm overlapping it and so that there are no leakages, and it's actually sticking a little bit like glue so it's great. Perfect, I'm really pleased. I've put 9 pieces on the edges, and for good measure I'm also going to be putting a couple of pieces in the middle, as I have done more than what I needed, but it's not a problem as I'm going to be needing more pasta for the inside anyway, so that's just as well. So I'll put this on the side so that keeps everything together on the inner piece. I'll start with a little bit more Béchamel first at the very top, or the bottom, hopefully the top by the time I do it, but the bottom if I'm unsuccessful. And next I'll be sprinkling in a little bit of my salmon, a little layer of my salmon. Again, if this is going to be the top, it's going to be very early on. As you put a layer in, go back with your spoon and push it down to make sure that everything is nicely compacted, like I'm doing at the moment. And the salmon is followed by my courgettes, which smell absolutely wonderful. That garlic that I added at the end made a big difference. I've also diced a little mozzarella. This is 1 bowl of mozzarella, 100 grams, which I'm going to be sprinkling after the courgette. And also I'll be sprinkling some Parmesan cheese as well. And all of those little pieces which I had earlier, I'm going to be putting them in now in the middle of my lasagna as well. And I'm putting more Béchamel sauce next, again ensuring that you press down as much as you can, clearly without breaking everything, so that you do not leave any cavities behind, and also everything gets nicely compacted. And this is where I'm going to be putting in the rest of my salmon as well. And of course also the rest of my courgettes. By the way, if you get any liquid like that, add it to it, because it will also help the cooking process as well as the lovely flavour. And I add also the rest of my mozzarella cheese, another sprinkle of Parmesan cheese, and I'll finish with the remaining pasta, which quite amazingly is just right, and the rest of the mozzarella cheese. And one final ingredient before it goes in the oven, a very little amount of dry breadcrumbs. If my plan works, this is going to be the base, and that will give the base a little bit of a strong crust to sit on. And the last thing I want to do before it goes in the oven is to fold this in. So I'm using some scissors to ensure that they stay down. I put a tiny little amount of olive oil against the sides just in case, and also on top of my breadcrumbs, in case this is the top, at the very least to look nice and golden. And I fold in the paper so that everything is tucked in nicely. And it will go in the oven just like a normal lasagna for 35 minutes. However, as I've got the baking paper, I'm not going to be putting any tin foils, so 35 minutes, 180 degrees in a fan oven. If you have got a ventilated, a conventional oven, a further 10 degrees to 190. So I'll see you in about 40 to 45 minutes and see what happens. Ciao, ciao. Wonderful stuff. It's just out of the oven, and I know it doesn't look very pretty at the moment. However, I'm sure that it will be fine in a minute, he says with confidence. What I'll do, I'll let it rest for 10 minutes, but I'm going to let it rest by turning it the other way around. So a bit like a frittata initially, I'll put a plate on top of it, and very assertively I'll turn it around so that while it cools down, it starts hopefully dropping in place. I can't wait 10 minutes because actually the tin can come off as there is paper, so I'm going to take it off first anyway. So that should be pretty easy. Ooh. Now we might have to wait a few minutes before I peel the paper off, because otherwise all of the Béchamel sauce will come off. So patience, Julia. Now you're angry, but you need to wait. So see you in about 5 minutes. And off we go. Very, very gently. Don't want to spoil it now. You know what? I'm so glad I put that little bit of Béchamel at the very beginning. It's working quite well. It's still a bit hot, but there's someone here who can't wait.
It's lovely and looks really lovely too, actually, doesn't it?
So that's the top layer. Let's move on to the middle part now. Hey, there he comes. And now that all the pepper is off, I'm going to be sprinkling a little bit more Parmesan cheese on top, as well as giving a little bit more flavor. It will also garnish it. Now let's explore. By the way, Julia's got no idea what is inside this lasagna. As always, she turns up when food is ready. So Julie, for your benefit, this is courgette, which I have fried with some garlic, and this is salmon, and this is also the Béchamel sauce with parsley and thyme.
Lovely.
So we'll see. Absolutely wonderful. I'll tell you one thing about courgettes. I think courgettes are a magic vegetable. Courgettes and aubergines, but courgettes more than aubergines, because courgettes, they seem to take on the flavor of whatever you cook them with. So in this particular case, the courgette, they've married up with the salmon, and you can really taste the salmon in the courgette as well. It's absolutely delicious, honestly. The parsley in the Béchamel sauce is also quite important. It's got quite a good kick, making the whole thing pretty, hopefully, if you agree with me.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And different dish. So there you go, Julie. Here is your Salmon Tuesday, or Tuesday Salmon, whatever you call it.
Tuesday.
Salmon Tuesday, and the lasagna from yesterday, which you didn't make.
2 in 1, everyone.
Indeed. Ciao, ciao. Thank you for watching, if you watched until the end, and hopefully if you make it, let me know how you get on. Bye.